Hey, what's going on? It's Josh. If you've followed me for a while, you know that I love Spiritbox, one of my favorite bands. I've not had much opportunity to dig back into their old stuff. I didn't even realize, so I was just like, oh my god, I haven't heard their first EP. I think I've heard most of it. I went back to look at the Spiritbox self-titled EP from 2017, and I saw that apart from the Mara Effect trilogy, I haven't heard any of the other tracks here. Everything's Eventual, Aphids, and The Beauty of Suffering. So all the songs that I thought were on this EP, like Belcara and Rule of Nines, and all those tracks that aren't on Eternal Blue, turns out are on a separate singles collection. So I guess it's kind of like an EP. After this EP, they just released a bunch of singles, and then under Pale Chord, they grouped all of those together. So I'm so excited to hear this now. This is the self-titled EP Spiritbox from 2017 that starts off with the Mara Effect trilogy and then has 3 brand new songs that I have not heard. So let's get straight into it. Now going into track 7. So the last song on the EP was the first single they released according to Wikipedia. Very interested to hear this one. The Beauty of Suffering. The first single from Spiritbox, the last song on the EP. So strong. I like how that slid in, unveiling the queens. Ooh, this is good. This has the feel. This has the vibe. Haunting, ambient, progressive metalcore. I like that. The bass slide leading in as well. All about it. There's some really different, like almost southern rock sounding guitar lines in this one. Like imagine if this was the first song they wrote. It could be. Ooh. I would say out of these 7, the first one written would have been out of 5, 6, and 7. They had the unsettling thing down real early. Ooh. Ooh. That's wild. What a groove. That is the worst Monster Energy. That's a change. Yeah, this is a first single. There's some swancore elements to these lead lines here. This is a lot like Birds-esque. I love how it's opened up. I love the layering. Great ending. Almost DGD like. Okay, I loved that moment. I loved that moment at the end of this track where it opened up for the big outro. That was the beauty of suffering. And that was the self-titled debut EP from Spiritbox from 2017. All right. I still find it so unusual that they chose to put the Mara Effect trilogy, which also has its own interlude, onto this with the other 3 songs. It's so, I can't believe. So they started with this. Then they just released singles, enough singles that they then bundled that together as a collection. Then they drop Eternal Blue, which is just an absolute cohesive masterpiece. There must have been so many decisions that they would have had to make for this to be the path they went on. Unusual decisions, unusual choices, and they nailed it. They nailed it. I heard someone recently say, like, Spiritbox and Bad Omens, the 2 things that they did in common were they released a lot of singles. And maybe that's the way to go currently. But then you need the album. When they eventually did drop the album, it was incredible. It is on the wall. I don't know how, I was going to say I would put money on the fact that they wanted to release the Mara Effect as its own thing. The point, they have an interlude in that trilogy as its own little collection within the EP. Do they call this an EP? Do they call this an EP? They do. Oh, that's right. Rotoscope. These guys make super interesting decisions. All right. So they come out with this EP with the only single being The Beauty of Suffering, but then, you know, the Mara Effect as a trilogy being also released with music videos. The Beauty of Suffering didn't have music videos, which is interesting, but everything obviously worked. It's just, I want to know the story of how this all unfolded in this way. So the EP, then you release how many singles? So in 2017, they released this. In 2018, Perennial, Electric Cross, Trustfall. 2019, Belcara, Bleach Bath, Rule of Nines. 2020, Blessed Be. And then Holy Roller is the first single off of Eternal Blue. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 singles. Why wouldn't you just chuck 2 songs onto that and make that an album that isn't a singles collection? I think it's calling it a singles collection that is the strangest part of that. Because then you're telling everyone this isn't a cohesive collection of songs. These don't go together. You shouldn't listen to this and enjoy it together. We haven't put it in an order that we think works best for it. This is just the songs we put out in the order that they came out, which in itself is it's an interesting story of how their music progressed and, the things they wrote in order, I guess. It's just, again, unusual. It's an unusual story, Spiritbox's music discography. Then Eternal Blue drops in 2021. Amazing, incredible album. And then in 2022, 3-track EP, followed by Shivering with Elenium, like a dance techno track, which is sick. I'm not gonna, I'm disrespecting that song and what they did. It was a great fusion of metal and electronic music. It was great. But what a strange discography in the way it's unfolded. I'm so interested in it. All right, well, looks like this one is wrapped up. Finally hearing the Spiritbox EP. I don't know how I feel about the last 3 songs. I guess the problem is that the Mara Effect trilogy is the best part of this. Beauty of Suffering, I can see why it was a single. It's mostly because of that giant ending. The other 2 tracks are really, really experimental, like genre builders for these guys as they were trying to figure out what they were doing. This band, very interesting. I think I'm disappointed. Like, Perennial was huge. I love Perennial. What a song. What an amazing song. And that's the next track that they released. All right. I'm going to put out probably The Beauty of Suffering from this as my highlight on the YouTube, telling people that the full EP is on Patreon. And I'll probably also be doing Electric Cross and Trustful as individual reactions. Because A, I want to do them. B, I don't see the point in me redoing 5 other songs that I have reactions for those 2 songs when they weren't released together. I'm just going to do those 2 separately. So interesting. All right.